Ha ha ha, okay, Chris Johnston, I see what you're doing there, man. I see it. I acknowledge it. I pay respect to it. Because today we're going to respond to some commentary that TSN insider Chris Johnston went out there and said on the Leaf Report. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the Leaf Report is the Athletics Toronto Maple Leafs-based podcast with Jonas Segal and James Myrtle. And the most recent episode from yesterday, Does Nick Robertson Have a Chance to Get Back into the Leafs' Good Book, features Chris Johnston, who, of course, does work on his own show and TSN, etc., etc., etc. We all know and love CJ, right? But there was a tweet that was summarizing some thoughts from Chris Johnston, posted earlier this morning that I thought was pretty good. So let's dive into it here. Get into this trade update here between the Canucks, the Canadiens, the Bruins, and the New York Islanders. Take a look at this. Maybe some veteran forwards become available, whether it's Pavel Zacha in Boston or Bo Horvat with the Islanders. Players that could satisfy the needs in places like Montreal, Vancouver, and maybe even Toronto. Leaf Report, September 22. I see what you're doing there, Chris. Talking about all of the big names from big teams, linking them to even bigger teams in the markets and the fan bases. Okay, this is going to get some conversation going. This is like the umpteenth time we have seen somebody mention Bo Horvat's name in Vancouver in the same sentence. It was a pretty decently sized talking point from last year, going over how former Vancouver Canucks center Bo Horvat was a part of a team that wasn't doing all too well in New York, and how the Islanders were kind of difficult to project into the next few years. They got rid of Lou Lamoriello, and with that came some directional changes. Okay, finally, Brock Nelson is traded. Is this the beginning of the end? Are they going to start tearing things down? They got the first overall pick, which of course helps them out. Matthew Schaefer is going to be very good. You can debate he's a number one defenseman right now. But Bo Horvat is a very solid, captain-worthy center down the middle who's got some great two-way qualities, who's got some face-off winning ability, and who has a very strong north-south sniper game. While Horvat is not necessarily Selke material, I don't think he's that good with his two-way game, he's good enough that you can use him on the PK. His face-off winning ability is valuable in that respect, and his speed, pace, and sniping is very valuable too. Not to mention the leadership. He was primed by the Sedin twins in Vancouver. There's a lot to like out of Bo. But here, Chris Johnston saying if the Islanders, they can't really get things going, which I don't want to say is guaranteed. All it takes is one slip-up from Ilya Sorokin season-wise, and the team is down in the dumps. Sorokin was really good last season, yet the team still found a way to get the first overall pick. And don't get me wrong, it's not like they finished in a spot where the first overall pick was likely. They moved up so much in the draft to be able to get it. But if they falter again, then who knows at what point Matthew Darche decides, all right, now we got to start thinking about Gavin McKenna. That's our goal. Maybe Bo Horvat gets traded. Maybe he gets sent back over to a big money, high pressure market. Maybe it is Vancouver. Maybe it's Toronto. I don't know. The Vancouver angle's a lot sexier, so we're going to go with that. Wouldn't Bo Horvat not solve everything that Vancouver has right now in terms of their problems? Getting that kind of a leader back in the locker room, it would ignite some of the folks, some of the fellas, give them something else to cheer about. If there's anything that's going to get Elias Pettersson back, would it not be getting Bo Horvat back in the room? Not like Pettersson and Bo were the best of friends, but still, Bo was the guy that kind of cultivated Petey onto the roster in the first place. You got to remember, the Sedins last year was Brock Besser's first year, and then the year after, Elias Pettersson came in through the gates. So there was a lot to be excited for in Vancouver, and Bo Horvat was there to see all of it. I get it though. Vancouver had an issue at center because there were too many really good players. Pettersson was 100-point caliber, Bo Horvat was there and he was super good, and then JT Miller was also getting better. So they had to trade two of them, right? They traded away both of them for Filip Hronek and Marcus Pettersson, essentially. And now they're stuck with a really strong D-core and only one top-tier center. If Filip Chytil can round himself out and become good, then that'd be great, but that's not guaranteed. Now, let's talk about the other conversation that Chris Johnston mentioned over here. Pavel Zacha and the Boston Bruins. This, of course, is also in that same territory. The Bruins, they've been trying to trade away Zacha for a while. Zacha, Mittelstadt, centers in Boston aren't necessarily guaranteed to stay in Boston, especially if they're highly valued like those two players happen to be. Say what you want about Casey Mittelstadt, but Pavel Zacha, strong player. He's really improved his game since getting over to Boston from New Jersey, and Montreal has always been talked about as a destination for this guy. If the Kirby Dach experiment doesn't end up working out, which I'm sure a lot of Canadiens fans are optimistic that it will, it's just, you can't really be guaranteeing things at this point, especially when the preseason is going to be going on. I mean, we have a Canadiens game in about an hour or so let's pay attention to that and wait and see what happens there. But for the Montreal Canadiens, Pavel Zacha, he would open up a really interesting Pandora's box of history and relevancy tangoing together in the forefront in 2025, because the Canadiens and the Bruins, I don't know if you noticed, these teams don't really like each other, and they don't make any trades either. They made a trade recently, swapping a draft pick in the draft, but that wasn't really anything. You think about actual roster players getting sent around in a trade between Montreal and Boston, that hasn't happened in 20 years? So Pavel Zacha, if he does get traded, he finds a way to get onto Kent Hughes' squad, it would be somewhat of a historical landmark of a trade, and the Montreal Canadiens would ultimately get themselves a center to be a lot more relied upon than Kirby Dach. Now, Zacha, for his credit, he's kind of disappointing in terms of what he was supposed to be. He was taken 6th overall back in 2015, stacked 2015 draft, by the way. Names like McDavid, Eichel, Marner, Mikko Rantanen, Pavel Zacha, all taken towards the top of the draft, and then even more talented names taken after. Kyle Connor, Travis Konechny, Barzal, Brock Besser, so many strong names, but you had Zacha, who was taken near the very top of that list. He was supposed to be a top-line center, but he just never became that in New Jersey, where he was drafted. They got Hughes and Hischier shortly after, and inevitably Pavel Zacha's development and progression as a top-line player faded away. And now he's in Boston. He kind of has no choice but to be a number one center now. Think about the departures of Bergeron and Krejci. But Pavel Zacha definitely has shown himself off well the past few years. Whether or not his stock around the league is strong enough to be considered in a trade this early remains to be seen. But if the Boston Bruins continue to stumble out the gate here, then we might see ourselves a trade being forced at the hands of Pavel Zacha, and whether or not the Bruins feed into that, maybe they send him over to a team like Montreal, that remains to be seen. But either way, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this trade update in regards to these 5 teams? Lots of conversation going on by Chris Johnston on the Leafs Report show. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video at any capacity, then hey, feel free to press the like button. If you didn't, then hey, the dislike button is there as well. Comments help out with the algorithm. I really appreciate that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about these trade ideas. I hope you enjoyed this video. 9 and bye.